Well, hello everyone. Got a good crowd. I'm Terry Hatmaker from CDM Plus, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar. A few days ago, we released CDM Plus 11.1 Beta 3, along with updates to Engage. In this latest release, you'll find a number of new features, along with several bug fixes. During this webinar, we'll be going over a few of the new features in this update and telling you about some upcoming features. So what are we going to cover today? First thing we want to do is update you about what we've been working on over the last couple of months. Next, we'll turn our attention to changes to documentation and information by introducing the Suran Help Center. We'll then close out the first part of the webinar with a demonstration of several key features in the August updates. In the second part of the webinar, we'll be joined by our CEO, Alex Clay. Alex will talk about the status of upcoming features. And then we'll end today's webinar by taking your questions. So we've got a lot to cover, so let's begin. First, I want to take a look at a few updates for your givers. Multi-fund text giving. We've had numerous requests for this and are pleased to announce that this feature is now available. Your givers can now include as many gifts in one text as they want. This makes text giving easier than ever before. We'll take a closer look at this during the demo portion of the webinar. Another new feature we've added is credit card expiration notices. Your givers will now receive a notice when their credit cards are expiring. This should help them make the necessary changes to their Engage accounts so they can avoid any unnecessary interruptions in their giving. In addition, our developers have been working hard to enhance the overall speed of Engage. Your givers should find Engage much faster and more responsive. Let's now move to a few staff side updates. We're going to begin with one that you've been looking forward to, merging giving units. With this new update, you now have the ability to merge duplicate giving units. It's even easier to clean up those duplicate records. So the merge facility is going to take care of both the CDM Plus records as well as the online giving records. I'll show you how this works in the demo portion. We've also added the ability to reprint deposit processing reports. So now you can go into deposit processing, select a processed deposit, click the print button, and reprint your posting report. We'll take a look at how this works in the demo too. Another feature that we've added to CDM Plus is the ability to see fees within contributions. Now you can search, print, or display online transaction fees, as well as the net amount in contributions. And the last feature that I want to talk about are the enhancements we made to payment administration. The payment administration table now shows more information, making it faster to find what you need. You also have the ability to search and sort on any of the columns of data. This will also make it easier for you to find the data you're looking for. In addition to these features, we've also made progress in standardizing our online products on Engage. At the end of July, we officially retired our old giving tools, and we've moved everyone to use Engage Giving. We've also started the process of moving Engage settings from web ministry tools to Engage to further this transition. We'll take a look at what this looks like when I demo the new features of payment administration. Now, let's switch gears a little and just for a moment, take a quick look at what we've been working on in CDM Plus Mobile. Our development team has done a tremendous amount of work to enhance the speed of the CDM Plus Mobile app. You'll find that the sub-apps now produce results much faster. I found that displaying a list of all the individuals in your database will take only a few seconds. Mobile receipts is still in beta, and it's progressing well, but we would really like more beta testers. If you are interested, please give us a call or email us at support@cdmplus.com and let us know you're interested. Now, let's turn our attention back to CDM Plus 11.1 Beta 3. We've enhanced the notice browser to help you manage and organize your notices more efficiently. Now, you can search notices by description or subject. You can view your ownership and see when it was last sent. And you can also select multiple notices and drag and drop them to the categories you wish to put them in. In addition to the notice browser, we've been working on the setup of your employee's payroll by adding some unique state requirements. Users in states where there are marital status choices now have the ability to select the one that best suits the employee's situation. This is going to be important as we move in to 2021. Speaking of 2021, now let's take a minute to talk about some upcoming requirements to run CDM Plus and to generate tax forms at the start of next year. As we move ahead, it's going to be important that those who use payroll and print 1099 forms ensure they are ready to update to CDM Plus 11.1. If you generate payroll or print 1099 forms, then you must be on CDM Plus 11.1 in 2021. Federal and state changes to payroll are being incorporated into 11.1, and they will not be available in any earlier version. Let me say that again. They're not going to be available in any other version, only in CDM Plus 11.1. In addition, there are changes to the 1099 forms. The IRS is bringing back the 1099 NEC form. So if you have people who've received payment as non-employee compensation, you know, that box 7 of the 1099 miscellaneous form, then you'll be required to submit the 1099 NEC form in 2021. Now, it's not just payroll and 1099s. Windows users need to be ready as well. If you use Windows, you must be running 64-bit Windows to use CDM Plus 11.1. You need to be sure and check your Windows is 64-bit, even if you're running Windows 10. To find out if your Windows is 32-bit version and for instruction on how to upgrade, just follow the link that Chris is entering into the chat window. And finally, if you're on Windows 7, take note, this is the last version of CDM Plus 11.1 that's going to support Windows 7. Okay, so let's recap this so that everyone understands. If you do payroll and or running Windows, please verify that your system is 64-bit. We want to make sure that you have enough time to go and acquire the necessary hardware so that there won't be any problems moving into 2021. All right, and you're looking at the CDM Plus knowledge base. And you know, this has been our documentation hub for many years. We've wanted to update this area for quite a while. And I'm really happy to tell you that we are starting today. The new site is named Suran Help Center. And you can get it by going to help.suran.com. Now, our goal with this area is to provide a help site that makes it easy to navigate and a lot simpler to find the things you need. Currently, we're in the first phase of the transition, and we're moving information from the old site into the new, and we're working as quickly as possible to update that content and screenshots to reflect the most current version of our products. And when this move is complete, we'll begin the ongoing work of enhancing the existing content and creating new valuable information. Now, the Help Center is primarily intended to be used online. It looks great on any size screen, be it a phone, tablet, or desktop. But we know that printing is important to many of you, and we're working to evolve the Help Center documentation so that it will be printer friendly. Just look for this update in the future. Now, I want to take us on a short tour around the Help Center just so you can get an idea of how it's laid out and what's available. If you look at this, this is the main page of the Suran Help Center. You can see at the bottom here a list of all of the products that we have available. And the focal point of the page is a search bar. And when you start a search from this area, you have the ability to search across all of these programs. So, for instance, if I wanted to do a search on how to print name badges, you notice as I am typing, Suran Help Center is now bringing back relevant articles according to my search. And I want to add name badges in CDM Plus Mobile, all right, we can see that we get a number of articles here. However, that's not all of them. So if I click return on my keyboard, it's going to take me to the search page now, and I can see that there's a lot more. In fact, it's more than one page. Now, if we go through and look at this, you can see that it is looking across all those pages, all those programs. We have one here. If you look at the link, it has mobile. This is from the mobile site. And then we come down to this one. This is from the CDM Plus desktop site. And so is this one. But you can see as we go down, here is a release note as well. So you not only get, you can see that you're going across the entire database of articles that we have in the Help Center. Now, in addition, I hope that you saw that as I was typing out that the search was pretty fast. And so we think that you're going to like it because not only is it going to be a fast search, it's also going to provide you, we believe it'll provide that information that you're looking for. Now, that's not the only way by going to help.suran.com that you can get to the Help Center. So what I can do, let me go down and let's open up CDM Plus. And up under the Help menu, go to Help. You'll have an option here that says Browse Manuals. When I do that, it's going to take us to the CDM Plus desktop area. Now, in this area, you can access downloads, videos, news, featured items, and resources. The resources are documentation organized by module and function. Let's start our tour by clicking on the Download Latest button. Now, this directs us to specific download links for both Mac and Windows. And if you scroll down this window, you'll also see that you have some release notes for this version. Now, if we go back up, we can get back to the home page of the CDM Plus desktop by clicking on the CDM Plus desktop words here. Now, back at the home page of the desktop area, if we look in the upper right, we can get to some additional things like the File Depot. There's the Download Latest again. But we also have a link to videos. And if you click this link, this is going to take you to our YouTube channel where you'll get to see the full catalog of all the videos we have, that we have done and will be producing as the year progresses. Back to the CDM Plus desktop area. If you look down from these links, you'll see a news area. And in this news area, you can find blog posts and other news associated with the product area that you're in. I want to click this CDM Plus 11.1 Beta 3 here. And you're going to see that this is the blog post for this Beta 3 release. And if we start scrolling down, you're going to see there's a lot of information here that we're not going to be covering in this webinar. You can also look on the side here, and you can see the headings that make up this blog post. So there's a lot of information, and we really hope that you'll be able to go in here and read through all of this. Now, if we go back to the desktop homepage, and let's go down a little bit further on this page, we get to an area called Feature. And here is an area where we're going to call out documentation that we think is important for you to know about. For example, we have an article here on tracking PPP loans in CDM Plus. This area is going to be a great resource to help you stay abreast of how you can use CDM Plus more effectively in your organization. And if we keep moving down the page, we come to resources. And as I said earlier, this is where you're going to find your documentation for specific programs within CDM Plus. If we scroll down, you'll see that there's a payroll option here. Let's open up payroll. And when we do, this page that it opens to kind of acts like a table of contents for this program in the Help Center. You can see as you scroll down, there's a number of headings here. And these headings help you navigate through the payroll program area. But that's not the only area that's going to help you navigate. If you look at the left-hand sidebar, the same headings are showing right here. And in addition to being able to navigate within the payroll area from the left-hand sidebar, you can also navigate yourself to other areas of documentation within the CDM Plus desktop area. So that's a quick tour of the Suran Help Center. I know that was really quick, but we really hope that you'll take some time and go in and explore it and get familiar with it. And if you have any suggestions, let us know. But I want to move to showing you some of the new features in CDM Plus and Engage. So we need to switch gears here. And the first thing we're going to look at is the multi-fund text giving. So I've switched over to my Messages app, which this app just allows me to send text messages on my computer. So if you're familiar with Macs, you know, you have iMessage on a phone. Well, Messages is the app on the Macintosh computer that allows you to do the same thing. Now, I've already inputted the phone number for the text giving, so I'm ready from that perspective. But I want to show you the different commands that we'll be able to use in our text give. And so I'm going to type help, and then I'll hit send. Now it's going out, it's getting the list of commands that have been created for this. And you see that we have 4 of them. And so now, knowing what the commands are, we can build our text gift. Now, when you enter a text gift in Engage text giving, you can enter it either as 100 give, like starting with the amount and then the fund, or you can start with the fund and enter the amount. It doesn't matter which way you enter that information. Now, when we're talking about multiple funds here, it doesn't matter how you enter in the subsequent ones either. So, for instance, we're going to say give 100, and we're going, actually, we're going to be a little bit more generous, say 400, and we're going to give 200 to building. If you notice, I'm not even using capital letters here. And we'll do, let's see, mission 100, and we'll do 25 to special. And we'll hit send. So I've entered 4 giving funds and their amounts, and I've now submitted that gift. What we're waiting on is a response asking us to enter yes. There we go. And so now I'll enter in yes. So you saw that I started with give 400. And then as I entered subsequent funds, I changed the order. The give 400 is fund amount, and then building went 200 building. And then the next fund, mission 100, and then the last one was amount and fund. Now, I wanted to show it to you this way because it really doesn't matter the order you put this in. What really matters is that you take and have an even number of blocks of data. So for instance, you have this fund is a block of information. So is the amount. So if I go and count how many blocks I have here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, the number of blocks here is an even number. And as long as you have an even number, you have a valid multi-fund text gift. So while I've been explaining this, we see that we've been notified that the gift was successfully submitted. It's just that easy to send a gift to 4 funds. Now, because I sent this and through a credentialed user, the gift's already been inserted into CDM Plus. Let's go over and take a look in CDM. So I'm going to go to Program, go to Contributions, and Contribution Records. And I want to search for the last entry made. So I'm going to come over to the left-hand sidebar, and I'm going to select Searches here. And I had already done a previous search for that, so it's in this list here, so I'll select that. And now you see, here is our gift that we just sent through the source of text giving. And if I was to look at this and compare this to what I typed, knowing the funds that are associated with it, we'd see that this is identical. So now you don't have to worry about entering any of this information, any of these text gifts, because this acts exactly like all of our other online giving by automatically entering the contribution into contribution records. So now your users have more ways to send more than one gift at a time. Now, let's turn our attention to merging giving units. So what we're going to do, we'll go to Program, Contributions, and Giving Unit Records. Now, first thing I have to do in order to do this is I need to see, do I have duplicates? And so I want to look for the name Hunter. So again, under searches, I've looked for Hunter before, and so I'm going to say, select that. And it has found 2 giving unit records. And you can see here under the source column that I've added that one of these is from Engage. Now, the first thing you've got to do in the merge process is you've got to select which record you want to be the destination record. In our case here, we want this one whose source is CDM Plus. to be the destination record. And so knowing that, I can now select both of these giving unit records and look over into the left-hand sidebar, and now there's a merge function there. So if I click merge here, this brings up the merge giving unit records window. And the only thing you need to do at this point is take your destination record and click and drag over into the dotted box area. Now, with that selected, we can click on next. And now this window shows all the items that are going to be merged into the destination record. So we have 6 contributions. We've got a recurring setup. And both of those things, all those things are going to merge into the giving unit record. So let's click merge. Yep, we want to proceed. It goes and okay, it's done. I've merged 2 giving units. Now, it's not only merged the CDM Plus information, it's also merged the online giving data too. So now merging giving unit records is so much easier and so much faster. Next up, I want to show reprinting posting reports. So we're going to go to the deposit processing window. So we're going to program ledger deposit processing. Now, as this window opens, we've received a number of requests for reprinting posting reports. So we're really happy that we can provide this feature to you all. Now the window's open, you can see that there's a history tab here. If I click this, the information under this tab is the deposits we've already processed to the ledger. And if you look in the toolbar, you've got print button here and it's grayed out. Well, let's come down here and select this item that we've processed. And now the print button is active. So we click on that and let's just print this to screen. So we click OK. And there you go. There's your posting report reprinted from deposit processing. It's just that easy to reprint your posting reports. Now, I know I may be moving fast, but we've got a lot. And so I want to move to another feature, and that is showing you the payment administration area under the new admin option in Engage. With that, we're going to have to go back to Chrome, and we'll go to Engage, and I'm going to log in with my username. Now let's go up to the Engage menu in the upper right, and I click it, and you see a new option here called Admin. If I select that, this takes us to the settings for Engage. Now, this is great, but I guess you might be wondering, how did I get access to admin? And will everybody that uses Engage have access? Well, you can provide administrative access to any Engage user you want through CDM Plus. So let's see how that works. We'll go back into CDM Plus, and we're going to open individual records. Now, we'll find my record by going again to the searches option in the left sidebar, and we'll choose my username, search, and now it's found my username. And we'll look down in the bottom right-hand corner here where online credentials are listed. And you see a new item here called roles, and it says I'm an administrator. Well, let's click on change, and this brings up in the change window, and you see under roles there's a drop down. And in the drop down, you have the choice of either administrator or standard. Now, just so you know, CDM sets all of your individual records to standard by default. So you have to go in and change those individual records you wish to have administrative access. So it's not something that we do. This is something that you will do and you will do within CDM Plus when you mark an individual record as an administrator. Okay? So let's switch back to Engage. And I want to show you the new payment administration. We call that now search transactions. So let's go back up under the Engage menu, and we're in admin, and you'll see an item here called search transactions. Now, this brings up the search area, and so we're going to search for transactions between August 10th and let's say August 13th, and we'll click search. Now, as we're waiting for the transactions to come back, what we're doing at this point is we're going down into stewardship and trying to get those transactions, bring them back so that you could see them. And we know that this sometimes can be a little slow, and so we've been trying to work on this, and we're continuing to do so. We hope we'll be able to speed that up in the future. But here we go. We see our table of transactions. You see that this is a very clean interface. And there are two additional columns now, one for payer name and another one for the description. And also up in the upper left-hand corner, there's a search field, which you'll be able, that allows you to search across all of the data in the table. And down at the bottom of the table, bottom right, you have some navigation bars here that will allow you to go to the second page or however many pages you have, and you can just click the arrows to go back and forth to those. Now, let's go back and talk about this search. I said you could search across all of these windows, all of this data. Well, that's true. If I search for Amy, notice that as I type, it's beginning to limit the data that's being shown, okay? And you see that Amy's name shows up in all of it. It shows up here. But you may say, well, yeah, but Mark Hunter doesn't have Amy's name. No, that's true. But for some reason, in my data, Terry and Amy Hatmaker are associated with the Mark Hunter payer. The wonders of demo data, okay? But you can see that it is searching across all of this information. Now, I can search on a specific transaction date. So like I can search on August the 11th. Well, there's no record. Whoop, I didn't parse that out right. See, I put AUG 11, well, there's nothing there. Let's put a space in it this time, and there you go. Here are the transactions that were done on August the 11th. And I can even search for the amount. Okay, so we see now that we have amount of $200. So searching is fast, and it'll allow you now to narrow your searches down to just the stuff that you want to see. Now, in addition to search, you can also sort this table across all the different columns of data. So I can sort this table here by, for example, payer. Now, if I click this one time, it is now sorted the table from A to Z. If I click it a second time, it's going from Z to A. Now, here's the important thing to remember. You click this a third time, now it's not sorted, okay? So first and second times, you're getting ascending and descending. The third time, it goes back to being an unsorted table. I can do this across any of these columns. So if I go to transaction date, I can sort by that. I can sort it by amount. I can sort it by schedule good, description, anything except for the details area. I can't sort on that area. But speaking of details, there are times that you come in this and what you need is that detailed information. So now you can just click on the details button and that's going to bring up the information that you're familiar with from what you've seen in web ministry tools. That's now being displayed within Engage. All right, so with that, there's one more thing I'd like to show you before we move to the second part of the webinar, and that is expiring credit card notices. So let's go back up to our Engage menu, and we're going to select expiring credit cards. It's going out and it's looking for any of the credit cards that are nearing expiration. We see it's come back with 2. And we have one that's expired and one that's going to expire in August of 2020. So I can get to this because I am an administrator. Only administrators can see credit card expiration information. Now, in addition to being able to see this list, your givers and your staff will be sent an email that their credit cards will be expiring soon. And these emails go out on the 1st and 15th of every month. Let me show you an example of what these emails are going to look like. So here you see that you have one that says your payment method is expiring soon. And we see that it's named Mark's Visa and it says when it's going to expire. If I click on update Mark's Visa, there's a link right here within the email. They can click on that and it'll take them to Engage and they can enter their username information and go directly to their payments and update their credit card expiration information. So that was a real quick tour of some documentation and a quick demo of some of the new features that were released this August. Well, we've been busy, but we're not done yet. Now I want to turn this over to Alex, who will tell you about some of the upcoming features in CDM Plus and Engage. Alex, I turn it over to you now, my friend.
Hi, Terry. Thank you so much for the demo. That was great. If you would, go ahead and pop back to the slides there. We've got a few to kind of talk through. So appreciate everybody taking some time out this afternoon to join us. I just wanted to let you all know that we will be sending, as we said earlier, a recording of this webinar. So if you couldn't stay for everything, or if you have somebody that you want to share this webinar with, we'll be sending a link to the recorded webinar on YouTube. We're also going to send out a survey along with that, just to get your thoughts about these webinars that we've been holding, if they're helpful or not, or anything you would like to see. These have been just surprisingly popular. Today's webinar clocked in at 370 people registering for it, which is up from 212 from our last product update webinar in May. So there's definitely some interest, and we're really glad to be able to talk with you and show you all what's coming out. Speaking of that May webinar, so we got together in early May to talk about some of the products that we had released then. Those products actually, some of that development had gotten started back before the pandemic even broke, early March. So we rolled out searching for organizations, giving history enhancements, and so on. At that time, we went through the products and I talked about some of the upcoming features. Terry showed off some of the things that we're going to be working on. So I wanted to come through and sort of address anything that we had talked about 3 months ago as being active in development, things that are upcoming that we're not quite finished with, and give you all a status so that you're up to date with all of that development. First, I want to touch back on CDM Plus Mobile 2.3, which has a mobile receipts feature. If you're not familiar with this, mobile receipts allows you to set up a phone or a tablet for anyone in your organization that might have expenses, perhaps on the church credit card, that might be a direct bill, or something they're looking to be reimbursed for. And they can submit a receipt for that directly from their device. They can take pictures of the receipt, they can tag the date, they can split it to different accounts if it needs to be paid for different items. And that drops directly into accounts payable in CDM Plus. You can see the scan, you can mark it paid, and then it flows right into your accounting system. So if you're used to having maybe a form that people fill out for reimbursement, copy the receipt or put a scan of it, mobile receipts lets you do that directly into your CDM Plus database. And as people are a little dispersed right now, and maybe dropping off a paper form might not be the easiest, we're thinking this is a very, very timely feature. You can use the CDM Plus mobile receipts as much as you'd like. There's no cost to add that. You can set up people's devices to only offer the mobile receipts. So that's been well received. We've got a couple of beta testers. We'd love some more. Just email support. And we're looking to have that in the final version of CDM Plus Mobile 2.3 a little later this fall, along with the release the release of 11.1. Speaking of mobile, as Terry alluded to earlier, we've been working since early April on the back-end system that powers both mobile and Engage to offer some speed enhancements. Hopefully you are enjoying some of those today, and we're continuing to refine those. So we expect to have all that work. We're in the final stages of getting that completed by the time mobile ships. And that's something we had talked about a little bit earlier. Terry, if you can go forward a couple of points there, that'd be good. So another item that we talked about back in May are any email communication that your givers are receiving from Stewardship. Stewardship Technology is our partner. They've been a partner of ours for over 10 years. They handle all the integration with the credit card companies. They do all the security of making sure payments are taken care of. But they can send some email notifications in certain instances that come from their system, not necessarily from Engage. One of those is a notification when a credit card is going to expire. So as Terry showed you, we've built that feature natively into Engage. So over the next couple of weeks, as we track who has updated to the beta and is able to get that feature, we'll be working with Stewardship to turn off that notification from their system. There are a couple other cases where Stewardship will email somebody in the event that there's a problem with their payment. And I'll talk about this in a minute. That's something else that we are building our own native notifications. So the goal is, as we finish getting those pieces up and going in Engage, your clients will not receive any notifications at all from Stewardship. It should always be Engage. It's always branded. It's always consistent and has your organization name, your logo on it, and should be much less confusing for people. So that's progressing along. We've also been looking at some ways to speed up what happens when you make a gift or a payment. Right now, we send off a payment to Stewardship, and we actually take the time to wait and make sure that payment was successfully charged. So there's a couple of things we're working on internally, but the biggest shift here will be to actually, on the back end, take that payment, queue it up, but then go ahead and allow the contribution or the registration of the billing payment to finish out and say, thank you so much for your support. You'll receive a notification confirming your donation went through. And so then they'll be able to finish making their gift, and they'll get an email notification shortly thereafter that the payment either worked or that there was an issue, and asking them to resubmit it. We want to make sure we do that right, so that there's no issues with it. And we've laid some really good, solid groundwork for this feature. But that overall ability to sort of queue up payments in the background to speed up making those is still in development. Also, as Terry showed earlier, we have started to move anything you might have needed from WMT, Web Ministry Tools, into Engage. We've got the Engage settings themselves. We have the search for transactions. There's a few more features that we'll be moving over, namely the Engage settings for giving specifically. So that's where you can set up the thank you message on your gifts. You can download, you can set up giving sets that are for your specific funds. You can get QR codes for those and discrete links. And that's where you also set up all the commands for your text giving. So we'll be building the Engage version of that. And again, your administrators can log directly into Engage and set up Engage from within Engage. So piece by piece, we're trying to get everything standardized and consistent so it's easy to understand. Looks great on mobile, and is the best product we can offer you. One thing that wasn't quite ready for this week's release, but is very close, is being able to do one-time charges in Engage. So right now you can do a one-time charge from payment administration over in Web Ministry Tools. That'll be in Engage, and it'll be very easy to access from your mobile device. Another feature that was requested and we talked about back in May, and makes a lot of sense, is that for your gifts, you can choose the payment method that is chosen or is assigned on the contribution. And the request was, well, I don't want just online gifts. I want to see ACH and credit card distinctly, which makes a lot of sense. What doesn't make sense is for us to build that feature in Web Ministry Tools, where you do all that setup and then turn around and build it again in Engage. So once we get that Engage giving setup moved into Engage itself, we'll add this feature there as well. So this will allow you to take the contributions that are saved into CDM Plus and know if that was given via ACH or credit card. Next, we are continuing to work on building out deposit processing, making sure that it can handle not just when things go through smoothly, but when there might be an issue. So this is part of the feature I alluded to earlier. Sometimes when we make a payment, that payment fails to go through. An example would be a payment from a ACH by bank account, and there are insufficient funds. The way ACH and the banking system works, we won't know that until that ACH is processed sort of in batch that night. So we've got pretty much all the work done that when a payment fails like that, what we do is actually reverse out or take out the contribution or whatever record it might be in CDM Plus. We handle all of them differently. And then we notify the giver and we notify you to say this payment was not successful. And what that means is it's not going to show up in deposit processing and give you an incorrect deposit. A cousin of that feature, or cousin of that situation, not a failed payment, is when you go to refund a transaction. So the work we put into being able to handle a payment that fails is going to be very similar to when you refund a payment. Because again, we need to back out that gift or that registration payment or billing payment. So the intent there is that when you click refund over on the transactions, that refund for one shows up in deposit processing, so you can record that credit out of your asset account, but then it also handles the CDM Plus record as well. So again, there's really good work on that. We thought that might be ready for the beta 3. It wasn't quite there, so I expect that in the next major beta release, it'll be available. The next piece, there was a question in the chat when Terry was talking about merging giving units. I do want to clarify that merging giving units is a feature that's valuable for everyone, whether you use Engage or not. If you have a situation where you have a couple that gets married and they are deciding to merge all their giving, they don't really care about tracking historical giving, you can use the merge feature to bring those two records together. But with Engage, we definitely have seen an increase in cases where people want to get involved with your organization, they want to give to your church, they want to set up an account to be able to do recurring giving and so on. And right now, we work very hard in Engage to match them to an existing record, assuming that you have a good email address for them and that that's the same email address they put in. But if they have a slightly different email address, or if they just flat out say, no, that's not me, you can end up with duplicates. So the intent here is to do a little bit more creative matching to see if when somebody wants to create an Engage account, if they happen to be have an existing record in your CDM Plus database. So one of the ways we're going to do that is maybe matching on the phone number or matching on a street address, for example. The challenge here is to make sure we don't expose anything that would be sensitive information. So we don't want a place where you can just start typing like, yeah, my last name is Smith, and then you can see all the Smiths show up. So we've got some internal conversation about how to do this and how to reduce duplicates. So we want to make sure that your database, which is the official record of the people who are involved in your church, your organization, we want to make sure that that is kept clean, tidy, accurate, and we both want to reduce the chance that will happen, which is what we're talking about ways to do, but also give you good tools to help manage those cases where, unfortunately, somebody maybe added a duplicate. So that's where you're seeing both tools to merge records as well as some ways to help reduce those duplicates. And we know this final point here that sometimes an email is not the best way to contact somebody. So this is where we'll be able to verify their identity in CDM Plus by sending a text message to their number and getting a confirmation code. What we are always trying to protect is, of course, the security and the privacy of your information. We want to make sure that nobody can access information that's not theirs. So while duplicate records create a little more work for you, it's preferable, we think, to end up with 2 records that you have to clean up instead of making it where somebody could gain access to records for somebody who is not really themselves. So those are all features that we talked about back in May that we hopefully I've given you a good idea about where we are on those. We've got a lot of good work. There's some more work that's coming, and we'll continue to lean on those going forward. I did want to take a minute to address a couple of things we've bumped into over the last week, just so you can kind of know the status of where things are. So for those of you that have updated to the beta, if you started getting errors the first time you ran CDM Plus, I greatly apologize for that. There was a problem we did not catch in our testing, that the first time you opened CDM Plus after installing beta 3, something went sideways, sort of in how the program initialized, and you would get errors opening windows all over the place. You all definitely got them. We've received more than a few hundred error reports in the last couple of days. But the good news is all you have to do is simply quit CDM Plus and start it back up. It's kind of like when you get a new grill. The first thing you want to do is just fire it up real nice and hot, make sure you burn off all the oil and so on from the factory before you cook anything with it. Let it cool down, and then you're good to go from that point forward. So if you have not installed the 11.1 beta yet, when you do, go ahead and fire it up, quit it, and then start it again. You'll be good to go. Obviously, this will not be a problem in the final release. The developers are working very hard to understand exactly what's causing that and make sure that that's fixed. The other thing is, for any of you who use Engage for giving or registrations or online billing, you would have received a notice from us last week about some issues affecting deposit processing. As we said in that letter, our intent is that Engage always saves you time, and the deposit processing is a key feature with that. It helps you put money directly into your ledger and break out all the accounts exactly as it should. Over the years, as we've sort of grown and built out our giving solution, it's clear there's some cases, some of the ones I talked about earlier when things fail or get refunded, that make it where those deposits are not going to be completely accurate. So Engage 11 or CDM plus 11.1 beta 3 actually adds some additional checks when you go to process a deposit to make sure it's all good. As we have been working to sort of make sure those changes are solid and accurate, we fixed an issue last week that could cause duplicate transactions and would throw off your deposit when processing a pending gift, and found what we thought was some duplicated code. We took it out. Unfortunately, it turns out that it wasn't just duplicated, it was kind of carrying some load and threw off a whole bunch of issues. So I do apologize for that. If you have outstanding issues, we are definitely working through those. I've sent out a number of all clear emails today as the developers are repairing each and every database. The important thing here is that we're actually tracking every day all the deposits and all of the databases using Engage to make sure we don't see any issues. I personally get an email every morning that lets me know where things are, and as soon as something pops up, I'm putting the developers right on it to get it fixed. So if this interrupted any reporting or if it held you off from your normal workflow, I'm very, very sorry about it. But please just be patient. If you still have an issue and you want to check on the status, give our support team a call. We've got good internal notes on where everything is, and we'll be happy to get you updated. So those are a couple of things that we've been working through. And again, I greatly appreciate your patience. So that's all that I have here. I believe we're going to transition into sort of a Q&A now. Chris is going to look through the chat. If you have a question, you can click on participants in Zoom, and there's a button to raise your hand. Chris will go through and call out your name. He'll unmute you. You can ask your question, and then we'll go from there. And Terry is standing by to pull up the software and demonstrate or look at anything we might need to. So Chris, who do we have first?
All right. Thank you, Alex. Trying to unmute Daryl here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey, Daryl.
Okay. So my question is, when regarding Terry, when you were doing the demonstration for the enhancement to text giving, where we're able to add multiple giving or types, building, tithe, whatsoever. I just want to make sure I'm clear on that. When you typed in the original amount, you typed in, I believe it was 400 and then you, from there, I thought you were breaking it down. So you said giving 400 and then 200 to this and so much to these other two accounts. But when you went back and brought up the actual account in the giving unit record, it gave the total as 725 instead of 400. So I just want to make sure I was understanding how to enter that total. You enter the total first and then, or do you start?
No, if you, okay, you should be seeing my messages.
I see it, yeah.
Okay, so if we look at what I entered here, I entered first, I say give 400, and give is one of the commands, right?
I see. Okay, gotcha.
Now this command is tied to a giving fund.
Yeah, you don't have to explain it further. I'm good now. I didn't realize that give was listed there. I thought give meant like that's the total amount that you're going to give.
Ah, so no.
I'm good with it. So I understand that. So my next question was, so when you were talking about the Engage administration permission that you would allow people, right. Now if I'm understanding that correctly, they're not, when you give somebody administration, they're not just seeing their transactions, they're seeing all the transactions from everyone.
Correct. Yes. Correct. Okay. So the administrator role is really intended for anyone who's an administrator within the church to have that access.
Gotcha.
And right now, you might notice that it says, roles as sort of optionally plural. The only choices today are administrator and standard. In web ministry tools, we had the feature to let you create what we call sub-accounts, and you could give certain staff access to do one-time charges. Others could access payment administration. Others could access setup for events and that sort of thing. So the intent here is, as more of those features come into Engage, you'll have additional roles, and that actually will turn to a checklist, and you can turn on and off what they can access.
Okay, super. Thank you guys. Appreciate it very much.
You're welcome. Thanks, Daryl.
Next, we have Vertina. Vertina, you have a question?
Yes, I had a question about the payment administration, and I noticed that it looked like Terry was in Engage. Only time I go in Engage is when I'm on like my iPad, and so when I get into payment administration, I always use a link that CDM gave me to get into it. How did you get I'm just trying to see the connection of now going into the new payment administration instead of going to that link that we've had before. How are you going into Engage? Are you able to go into Engage within CDM, or are you going to an Engage website?
Okay, what you're doing, okay, let's go back and think about how you used to do it, right? Or how you do it, right? You go to Web Ministry Tools, right? And Suran.com, right? And you go in there and you get to your payment administration, right? You familiar with that?
Right.
Okay, so what we're doing is we are going to be retiring Web Ministry Tools here. And so we're moving all those functions that you've used Web Ministry Tools for, we're moving them into Engage.
Okay.
Okay, so that's where, if you remember when I was in this area here, okay, let me get out of Mark's and go into mine.
So that's my question. When I go in Engage, I'm only going in it to pay my tithes and offering and so forth.
Right, but as we move the Web Ministry Tools stuff into Engage, that's where what Daryl was asking about with the roles of administrator and standard come in.
Yeah.
You would go into CDM Plus, into your individual record, okay?
Okay.
And you would give yourself under the, let me see if I can bring up, under the online credentials for your record, you would give yourself the role of administrator.
Right.
Okay. Then when you go into Engage, like you're going to enter in a gift, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you do that, so let's say this is your account in Engage, right? When you go up to the Engage menu to go to giving, you're now going to see this admin option.
Okay.
And that's where you're going to be able to go in. You'll see your Engage settings, right? That was under Web Ministry Tools. And you'll see search transactions, which is payment administration.
So the key is when I'm not on my iPhone or I'm not on my iPad and I am in CDM, I need to go under the individual giving record in order to.
No, you only do that one time. You go, when you go into CDM Plus, okay? You go into CDM Plus and set this role one time and that's it.
Right.
Okay. At that point, you now have access within Engage. So you go into your phone, right?
Yeah.
You go into your phone and you would log into your Engage account.
Okay.
And when you log into your Engage account and you go up to the menu, okay, so if I made this smaller, okay, let's make this smaller so it looks like a phone, okay?
Yeah.
You go up to the menu to go over to your giving, like, right? When you do that,
yeah,
you would see an additional option, which is not showing in that view for some reason.
Terry, you're already in administration.
Oh, that's why. Sorry. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
I understand that part, that all that stuff is there. It's basically if I'm on my Mac at work, I need to go to the Engage website.
Right. You need to go to the Engage website at any time. It doesn't matter if it's on your phone, on your Mac at work, anywhere.
I got you. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The last question I had was about the credit cards expiring and sending notices to members. Is that going to be automatic, or is that something we have to do?
That's automatic. They go out the 1st and 15th of every month.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
EMSVT, do you have a question?
Yeah. So this is concerning the merge function. And what I'm seeing is, there are two entries for the same person. And I'm wondering if so one is for giving unit, an entry, and that's all it has on there. And the other one has attendance. So can you merge these two entries using that merge function?
So right now, the merge is only available for giving units, and attendance links back to the individual records. We don't today have the merge available for individuals. However, we do expect that in the final 11.1 release this fall, you'll be able to merge individuals, addresses, customers, vendors, all kinds of records within the program. And when you do that and you're able to merge individuals, yes, the attendance would merge together.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Up next, we have Mary. Do you have a question?
Hi, I have a follow-up question on the merge giving units. After you do a merge and you merge two duplicate giving units, the next time somebody that created one of those that's now been merged, the next time they go to give, are they going to create another duplicate one, or would they be directed to the destination giving unit?
So they will see all the giving from the consolidated destination where everything's been merged together.
And their new contribution would be in that giving unit?
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Treasurer, do you have a question?
Yeah, this has nothing to do with what you've discussed today, but this new executive order by the president on withholding taxes, how's the payroll system going to handle that?
We'll be reviewing it sort of as everything settles down. And I'm thinking the best bet is probably going to be to go in and simply mark those as excluded. You'll just make sure that you're getting our emails. If you got emails about the webinars this week, then we've got your email address and you're good. This is the exact kind of thing that the Help Center is going to help with, where we can give you instructions on how to adjust that payroll. It's definitely a developing situation, so I want to make sure we've got some really solid guidance from the IRS about what needs to happen.
Yeah, well, the way I've read it so far is that it's not to be withheld from the employee, but the church would still pay its share. And
Right.
If you check that box that says don't do it, it's going to also not pay the church's share,
Right.
I believe.
So we may be able to go in because the tax updates of the program are sort of managed automatically. There's a good chance, one option would be to go in and actually go ahead and create within our tax tables, we have distinct settings for the federal rate as well as the employer rate and the employee rate. That was split some years back when they did the Hires Act and reduced the rate there for just one side of it. So one option, again, we're looking at this, but one option might be to say, okay, well, effective from this date to this date, the employee rate is 0, but the employer rate remains at the 6.2%.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Fred, did you have a question?
Yes. All the stuff you've been talking about today is released in Engage, right?
For the most part, things like merging the records, merging giving is a CDM Plus feature. But any of the features that we've shown, for example, being able to access the administration features or the multi-fund giving or sending out expiring notices, those do require that you update to the CDM Plus 11.1 Beta 3 release.
Okay. Is there a list someplace of what you can and can't do? How about the administrator function? How does that work if you're still on 11.0?
So if you're on 11.0, that online credentials box that you see on Terry's screen in the bottom right, There is no role option, and everyone is essentially treated as having standard access. So the features that are under administration, other than expiring card notices, those are still under Web Ministry Tools. You can still do all your Engage setup. You can do all your payment administration, and that'll continue to be available in Web Ministry Tools until everyone is able to access that through Engage.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's going to be a little confusing for a while.
A little bit, yeah. We're anticipating that you know, as people start using these features, and we because right now it's really the same thing in two places. As everything's sort of built out and moved into Engage, what we'll likely do is redirect you when you try to access payment administration, Web Ministry Tools, for example. That'll likely just kick you right over to the Engage payment administration. So we'll start directing everyone to the one setting.
And who can set up, when you're in 11.1, who can define the administrator?
If you have access, Terry, if you go ahead and pull up administration there, we have a dedicated permission that you can grant your users in CDM Plus to allow them to control access to online credentials.
Okay.
So you scroll down here, you have to grant your users that checkbox right there to say user can administer Engage/WMT credentials.
I got you.
Yeah. Great. Any other questions for us, Fred?
In 11.1, how much of the problems that we're seeing on 11.0 are being fixed on 11.1? I didn't see some of those in the list of errors.
Okay. So if you're running into a particular problem in 11.0, Terry, why don't you go ahead and click back into the Help Center in your browser there. So what I'd recommend that you do is if you go in just to the Help Center and click on CDM Plus Desktop there and scroll down to the bottom of this page, you'll see a section here for downloads. You go ahead and click on downloads. This will show you all the release notes and all the versions of CDM Plus. So if you click on CDM Plus 11.1, we've had 3 beta releases so far, and each of those will list in their detailed release notes all the changes, not just new features but bug fixes. So if you scroll down, you'll get past these highlights, Terry. You'll see some actual release notes down here, issues resolved. So all the nitty gritty changes are listed on these 3 pages. So if you have a particular issue, you can definitely look in here to see if that's been resolved. If you're not sure, just call support and let them know what you're running into, and they'll be able to check our issue database and see if that's been fixed, and if not, make sure it's been reported so that we do get a fix out.
Well, they haven't been fixed in 0, but it's an open problem. Like, for example, the ability to print the notice, the note section of an email address onto the check-in and check-out labels.
Okay. I can definitely check to see if that's something that we fixed here in 11.1. We do not intend to release any more updates to 11.0. So what we'll want to do is make sure that that is fixed in 11.1 and work to get you up on that version.
Okay. Can I just call Terry and go through my list to see what's already fixed?
Absolutely. Yeah. Call Terry or call our support line, and we'll be happy to go through that and compare notes with you.
And the other thing that's important to us is being able to search on an email note, on the email address note.
Okay. Oh, I see. So you're saying when you've got an email address and you put something in the notes on the right there, you want to be able to do a search on that. Gotcha. Yeah, if you would give support a call, I'm fairly certain you can do that as a related record search. against the phones and emails on your records.
Well, you can't in 11.0.
Okay. Well, give them a call and kind of show them what they're after, and they'll write that up, and we'll get the developers adding that feature in for you.
Okay, we've done that with Terry, and I'll call him again, see if he can help me out.
Okay, sounds good.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Talk to you soon, Fred.
Okay.
All right. Tom, did you have a question?
Yeah, on the tax deferral issue this year, it's not going to be decided until probably after the first of the year whether those taxes were deferred or whether they were forgiven. And I'm hoping that some kind of a record of how much was deferred will be made so that we have some idea what to do when we get to January 1st.
Right, definitely. So one thing that CDM Plus offers, which is beneficial, is that we track sort of a taxable wage and then separately amount that actually sort of gets reported on a W-2, which is key to setting up clergy payroll. So one of my questions for this is, are those wages going to, do they need to be reported a certain way in this year's W-2? Or what's going to be the mechanism? Are we just going to report that much more taxable income in 2021? So there's definitely a lot of questions, and I think as it sort of becomes clear how this is going to work, we'll make sure we keep you informed of the best practice.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, Becca, did you have a question? Becca, can you hear us? Okay. All right, well, we're waiting for Becca. It looks like Steve Hansen has a question.
In the chat, Stephanie asked if for an update on the contribution processing fee reductions that were mentioned in the May webinar.
Right. Thanks for calling that out, Steve. Which is kind of funny because we were talking about that in the sales meeting this morning. We have been working this year on some very exciting changes to pricing and fee structures for Engage, for stewardship. It's been a fairly involved process going back and forth, but we are pretty close to being able to have something officially announced. We are looking to give you an official notification of kind of what we're doing to help give you some more consistent fees. For most everybody, gets you actually some savings in your monthly fees on Engage and your merchant account. All of that will be available. We're currently looking to have that come out September 1st. So you'll see a email from us and some web pages sort of explaining what we're doing. Our intent is that after that email goes out 1st of September, the next week, probably Wednesday or Thursday after Labor Day, we'll have another webinar where we can talk through these changes. I'll walk through them and answer any questions that you might have. In the meantime, if you are very, very interested in trying to sort of standardize your fees, you can definitely give our sales team a call. We're not quite ready to light that up right this second, but we may be able to actually make some shifts for you a little bit earlier if that's something you're curious about. But I would encourage you to kind of just sit tight for a few weeks. When we send this announcement out, we're going to give you some analysis of your giving. Kind of shows you how it's been, how the fees have broken down historically, and then if you were going to move to the new option that we're going to be offering, how your fees would then shift at that point. You can also, if you install the beta 3, 11.1 beta 3, you can go in contributions on your contribution custom listings and so on, and you can list all the fees that were charged on your gifts there and kind of get a sense for what those are. So that is coming soon. Hopefully, we'd hope to kind of have that just following this webinar, but I think we're in a really good spot to have that announced in September.
Okay. Looks like,
Hey, Alex, before you go to another one, Pastor Greg asked the question should we upgrade to the beta or stay on 11 until the final version release?
That's a really good question. Some of it kind of depends on measuring. So often in life, it's a balance, a give and a take. Obviously 11.1 is going to give you some really compelling features, multi-fund text giving, merging. We've got some speed enhancements in there. There's a lot more that's coming down the pike. And if you see something you're really excited about, getting on the beta would be a good way to give that a shot. The difference with the beta is that this is fairly active development. We've gone through our internal testing, but there may be issues that we're still hammering out the finer details of. There may be things that we're trying out and we decide don't really work. For example, in the first 11.1 beta, we made a change to how payments in accounts payable were posted if you had a due date set. This was designed to sort of solve a conundrum with mobile receipts. So we got some feedback from people that for one, they didn't quite understand it. Some didn't like it. And after talking about it, we decided to revert that feature back. Some folks love software. Some folks love trying things out and seeing what works and doesn't work and breaking them. Some folks, they need their tools and their systems to work consistently day in and day out and just do their job. And if they're erratic or they're changing, that doesn't sit well with them. So if you're more in that latter camp, if you like to just have your software sort of be where it is, I'd encourage you to wait until 11.1 releases, the final release this fall. But if you're interested in trying out new software or giving us some feedback, maybe offering some input into how things work, definitely give the beta a shot. We do our best, like I said, to test things internally, and we do work to make sure any issues that pop up, we try to get fixes out as quickly as possible. So it's really sort of it's your choice if you want to get the beta. If you do, assuming you're current on your support plan, there's no cost to it. The one thing you do need to know is that once you move up to the beta, you are on the beta. That's it. One thing you could try, which might be a good option, if you want to make a copy of your database to have sort of a test copy, you can try that out. One thing that CDM Plus 11.1 adds is the ability to run multiple installations of CDM Plus at the same time. If you go into the release notes for Beta 3, you'll see a little bit of information about that. We have a guide here about how to do those multiple installations. So it would be pretty accurate, or it would be pretty doable to have an 11.1 beta and a copy of your database and just work out of that, but then keep 11.0 for your primary database as well. You just need to be careful, because if you do update inadvertently your primary database to 11.1, that's it. You're on 11.1 going forward.
Yeah. In the past, at the user meeting, you've handed out about a 1-inch thick manual, which I have found very useful. I'm old school, and I prefer paper manuals to help pages, because I can stick my finger in one spot in the thing and chase to a different spot and jump back and forth. And I wondered if, with no user meeting this year, are you going to produce a paper copy of the manual?
Not necessarily. And actually, the fact that we canceled the user conference is giving us some resources and time that we would normally be spending on getting those manuals prepped and everything else that goes into putting the conference on, to focus on some other projects. And this help desk, this help center, is 100% one of those projects. One of the things that, as Terry said, we're almost completely finished making sure anything that was on the KB is accurate, links well, and it's everything squarely in the help center. The next step from that is to start updating and enhancing content. So there's content in that training manual that's currently not on the help center. So one goal that we have is to make sure anything that's in the manual, if there's any how-tos or guides, that those are available in the help center as well. So you have parity in both. We do not intend to ever get away or go away or give up making those training manuals. They are specific to the conference classes. So while I don't anticipate updating one this year for 11.1, what I do expect is that by the time we have a training manual in 2021, as we anticipate CDM plus 12 and hopefully being able to have Suran 2021, that manual will be probably the best one ever, because it will have the advantages of all the work we've done to overhaul and standardize our documentation. So Tom, I definitely hear you. There's a lot of folks that definitely like that hard copy, that paper copy. And that's something that we definitely will continue to invest in and work to maintain. But I don't anticipate doing one this year.
Yeah, the paper copy is also my repository of my notes.
Yeah, sure, gotcha. It's like a family Bible. It's marked up with all the good passages highlighted. Anything else I can do for you, Tom? Oh.
Nope, that's it. Thanks.
All right, great.
Treasurer, did you have another question?
Yes, on the 32-bit versus 64-bit IBM or PC anyway, Windows system. As I understand it, if you upgrade to 64-bit from 32-bit, you got to wipe everything off your computer and reformat the hard disk?
I believe so. What I'd recommend you do is if you go back to that link that Chris sent, we're kind of pushing people towards the Microsoft's official documentation on the best way to upgrade. I suspect there's lots of information out there, whether it's partition your drive, install 60, and if you have a 64-bit chip at a 32-bit OS, maybe partition it, install the 64-bit OS, and then do sort of a remote migration. But you'd want to essentially go to Microsoft's guidance for that process.
Yeah, that's pretty dicey for people who are not real computer literate.
This is
I really do not like it.
Yeah,
I think this is really bad. We have to go through that kind of thing. We probably have to buy whole new computers. And
well,
that's a big investment for us.
Yeah, and I definitely hear you. And this is one reason, we started talking about this back in May. I wanted to make sure people had plenty of time to plan. As we look at actually
cost.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
The problem doesn't go away just because we introduced it in May. It's still expensive and requires an IT person to do it. And a lot of these people in our environment are using their home computers for this, for the work they do on CDM.
Okay.
And that's a major problem for them and for us. Major cost.
So I definitely hear you. And you sort of ratcheting up these system requirements is something we take a lot of care with. The fact we're still supporting Windows 7 when it's end of life by Microsoft back in January is one point to that. We look pretty closely at the statistics we get when people check for updates, because CDM Plus will include what architecture and operating system it's on. And we took a real close look, especially from March forward, because people definitely changed their work location. Many folks, as you said, started working from home versus in the church office, where they're in a different environment. And what we found was that for people on Windows, looking at just over 1,000 unique clients checking for updates there, we had 68 on a 32-bit operating system. So I'm definitely sensitive to the fact that there is going to be a cost involvement here, and so that's again, we want to make sure we give you enough notice so you can try to make those funds available or get that machine available. But this is something that we didn't want to do until we felt that it was necessary to provide the best quality product going forward. And again, we're seeing a lot more people say on Windows 7 than on 32-bit, because there's certainly 64-bit Windows 7. So that's one reason where we're still continuing to support an unsupported operating system, just because we have enough folks using Windows 7. We don't want to put them out in the cold without giving them plenty of notice.
Yeah, I was talking about Windows 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see, we have Hannah. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I just had one question. There was something mentioned about mobile being updated. I'm not exactly sure of the glitches and bugs that my users are having, but they were wondering if there was going to be an update soon.
I do know we had an issue reported to the end of last week with a problem in it was saving attendance for visitor records. And I was actually chatting with one of our developers just at the start of the meeting about getting another update out. This was on iOS to get that fixed. So if you have anything that is outstanding in mobile, definitely let us know. Some things we had somebody report an issue trying to get into their list of individuals, and that turned out to just be a speed thing, and was one thing we were able to solve on our end without an update. But if there's any problems that you or your staff are running into, absolutely let us know so we can get a fix out. I'm not intending to hold fixes for mobile until 2.3 because that is a little ways out at this point.
Okay, yeah, there was one of the issues with the visitor records for attendance. I do remember that.
Yes. Yeah, in fact, the developer working on it chatted me and said, can I go ahead and push this right out to the App Store? And I kind of put the brakes on him just a little bit. So Terry, you'll see that bug coming across your board here shortly to do testing. So as soon as we just confirm that internally that it's working, we'll get that released out to the App Store. We've got that fix ready to go.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Alex, I'm just kind of scrolling through the chat here, and there's some questions that people hadn't asked. Lisa Taylor was asking, when you merge, I guess you're talking about merging giving units, will it keep all attendance records?
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier. The attendance is over on the individual side. So right now, when you merge, it's only merging giving units, so the individuals would not be affected. When we add the merge to the other areas, then attendance would be merged together. If we have any duplicates that would have been created by that, those will sort of be winnowed down to just the single attendance, so it'll be accurate.
Okay. Becca tried to ask a question earlier. It looks like she left it in the chat. It says, I'm currently running 10.1.6. Should I upgrade to 11.0 or wait until the fall when 11.1 is available?
Gotcha. I would definitely update to 11.0 right now, just to make sure you're on sort of the current published version that we're recommending. Going from 10.1.6 to 11, kind of depending on what operating system you're on, you may have some requirements there. If you're on a Mac and you can't run High Sierra or better, then that would be a hardware issue, or you might just need to update your OS if your computer was built within the last 10 years or so. Also, if you are self-hosted, there's a server upgrade to that, and it'd be good to go ahead and get that out of the way, so you can get that done, so your upgrade to 11.1 is much smoother. In short, we're going to push hard to get everyone on 11.1, especially for anyone doing payroll or who needs to produce a 1099 NEC. So it'll be less of a shift to go from 11.0 to 11.1 than from 10.1 up to 11.1, at which point you're jumping 3 versions at once. So I definitely recommend going running 11.0 today. If you want to try the beta, go for it. We'd love to have you. But I definitely say at least 11.0 today, and then move up to 11.1 this fall.
Great. If anybody else has any other questions, if you want to raise your hand, we'll get to you. Becca said thanks, by the way.
You're very welcome.
Alex, there's a question in the chat. Said, what's the difference between 11.1 and 11.1 beta? It's from Toby Bird.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mentioned a little bit earlier about sort of the beta releases as being a little more active development. Essentially, right now, if you were to walk up and say, "Hi, Suran, here's CDM Plus is great. I want to buy that," or you want to say, "I want the latest version," we're probably going to push you to 11.0.3, which is the current shipping version that we have out. If you were looking for some newer features, or you had something that we needed to get you a fix for that was in 11.1, we might talk about putting you on the beta at that point. But essentially, the beta is work that is much more current. These are things the developers have been working on in recent weeks and months. And our strategy is to essentially make that beta available to anyone who wants it. You're able to set your CDM Plus to sort of see beta updates if you sign up or switch your CDM Plus to check for early adopter updates. What we're seeing right now is, out of say 2,000 clients or so, we've got about 150 that have at least activated the beta. Probably a little bit less than that because some of our tests will flip those clients as showing activated. So I'd say between 100 and 150 clients are running the beta right now. And we greatly appreciate their, like I said, their patience and giving us that feedback. What we're able to do is work with them, find out what works, find out the things that are maybe not quite as well thought through, like that due date posting issue I mentioned, so that by the time everyone gets the beta or gets the final release in the fall, they're standing on the shoulders of the people who worked throughout the year to give us feedback on that beta release. So essentially the betas are an opportunity to try software before we've sort of given it our final stamp of approval to say, yep, this is what's in this release and we feel really good and it's tested. By the time we release that final 11.1 beta, there's a very good chance we'll already be working on features for CDM Plus 12 in 2021. Especially that time of the year, that far out, we start doing some of our larger, more fundamental changes before we focus that up heading into our next round of beta testing next year.
Toby said thanks also.
You're welcome. Terry, if you want to, you might want to click back to the homepage for the CDM Plus desktop there, and take a look at that blog page that has all the various release notes. These webinars have been very helpful for us. There was if you'll click on the, where is it? There's a contribution records right there at the top, this very top one. This is something that somebody raised back at the May webinar and said, I have this issue where I get to the end of the year and send out giving statements, where people are looking online at their giving history and they see, wait, that should be tax deductible or not tax deductible, but I can't change the gift because it's been posted to a ledger entry that's in a closed period. So that's some really good feedback we've heard. I heard it again in May. So that's something we were able to go in and actually update within 11.1. So it's a small thing, but when you need it, it's a really nice thing. So all in all, I'd highly encourage you to take a look at the various changes here. There's even more that's very specific within just CDM Plus, not Engage related, that's actually off over to testing, will be in the next release. Terry, if you'd click that notice organizer about halfway down on the right, you can see some of the things we've been adding. If you do a lot of notices, it's easy to do multiple deletes, to search your notices, to see who has ownership and so on. I will let you know that in the next 11.1 beta, we have added the ability to put hyperlinks into your email notices, something we've been asked for many, many, many years. So you'll be able to go in and take text and turn that into a link to a website, an email address, something that I'm very glad to get added in. One more thing I know that is not going to be necessarily earth-shattering for everybody, but one thing that will be coming in the next 11.1 release, if you print checks and your check stock already has a $ pre-printed on it, we added the ability to go to the dollar amount that we print out and turn off the $. Again, kind of a small thing, but a lot of people are really keen for that. And there's some more features that are coming along in 11.1 that we're excited to show off. A lot of our work right now has been focused on Engage, making sure that it is as smooth and powerful and helpful a product as it can be. But we're still working very hard on the desktop and the mobile. Got some really good stuff in the hopper. So take a look at this page. And there's a similar page over on the Engage section, kind of talking through all the various features there. And you can check all that out. And if you have any suggestions or requests for anything in the Help Center, definitely let us know. We're like I said, very keen to start expanding and adding out new information here So yeah.
All right. I'm not seeing any new questions.
All right, great.
Oh,
Well,
nope,
Pastor
just
Greg
had a
has-
hand. Takes a second. There we go. Pastor Greg?
Yeah, I just have a question about the deposit processing. I know it's probably been about a month ago, or maybe 6 weeks. We had a giving that didn't have accounts set up to it. You know,
Mhm.
it had just a red dot. So I went into Engage and found out who made that gift, and then I went in and entered the accounts that they gave to, and it kind of made the red dot go away. I understand that you guys have fixed that, but did I create a duplicate record when I did that?
No, you wouldn't have created a duplicate record. And that issue can still happen. In fact, one of the things that what we fixed was when gifts went through and everything was sort of intended as they should. There were some internal fields that make deposit processing work that weren't being set. So all the gifts were showing up with red dots, and that's what we've been working to fix. We also, as part of that and this monitoring that we're adding, it's looking for any cases where you have, that's what we would call an orphan transaction. And so part of being able to monitor that is obviously make sure that once you see that in deposit processing, it's all right. But it's also to help us discover situations that might be causing those gifts to not come through successfully, so we can make sure not only that we fix them, but that we resolve the root cause of whatever caused that issue. Right now, we occasionally might get an error just communicating the stewardship, and that can kind of cause an orphan transaction. That's where the enhancements that we're adding for sort of background processing are going to help us smooth that out. So there's nothing that you would have done to cause that. If you see any red dots or any unlinked gifts showing up, definitely give us a call and let us know. But especially as the developers finish sorting out what we caused ourselves last week, unfortunately, they'll be able to get right on top of any new issues coming through. So again, the intent is that whenever you go to deposit processing, all those deposits are there, ready to go, and they match to the penny to exactly what you received into your bank account from stewardship.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate
that. Treasurer, did you have a question?
Yeah, this help center, is this only available under 11.1 beta 3, or is it available? I'm running 11.0.
And it's for everybody. Yeah. So in fact, if you're in 11.0 or even all the way back in one of the 10s or the 9s, and you go under the help in CDM Plus to browse the manuals, it'll take you to the help center.
Okay.
So this is for everybody. Everything's here. Our intent at this point is to as we review screenshots and update documentation, add in new pieces that are being released to essentially get all of this content exactly where it needs to be for 11.1. And then as we start to build 12, this particular platform that we're using gives us the ability to let you switch between documentation for those different versions. So right now it's sort of an ambiguous mix of from 10 all the way through 11. So we're working to get that all current. If there's anything that does require the 11.1 beta, for example, Terry, if you'll go into Engage there and pull up the page for processing duplicate accounts, which is or new accounts, I should say, that first featured article. This page has been updated a little bit. If you go under, I'm going to process a giving unit and I already have a giving unit record for this giver. This has been updated to lean on the merge feature that's in beta 3. So because it does that, if you scroll up there a little bit, Terry, you'll see that sort of yellow box that says it does require beta 3 or higher. So where we've got some features specific to those new versions, we're working to note that.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I think that might be it.
Great. Well, we'll hang out here for another minute or two in case anyone has any other questions, but if not, take care, stay safe. We're almost to the weekend. Hope you do have a great weekend. Wherever you are, I hope that things are going well for you. And as always, we appreciate having you as our clients and our partners.